We have another flip. We got Dustin Jacoby. Open as a favorite, closing underdog. Next up at UFC Nashville, we have Dustin Jacoby taking on Kennedy Nzechukwu. Dustin Jacoby, 18-7 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. He is on a 2-fight skid. He's taking on Kennedy Nzechukwu. He's 12-3 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. He's riding a nice 3-fight win streak, with 2 of those wins being come from behind victories, which this guy just continues to do week in and week out. Dustin Jacoby, high-level kickboxer. We've mentioned it many, many times. He was a professional. He was MMA, left, professional kickboxer, back to MMA. And when he was in that professional kickboxing run, he was ranked 2nd in the world at one point. He does a great job of keeping things technical. He will light up your legs, he'll work the body, and then he'll come to your head later. He likes to invest early. He has a 60% takedown defense. That number is understated. If you actually watch, his takedown defense looks much better than a little more than half. He has solid takedown defense, and he does a great job making you pay. If you shoot a takedown, he's going to hit you. It's going to hurt. It's going to make you question if you want to shoot another takedown after that. He's coming off 2 losses in a row. The first was to Khalil Roundtree. Sketchy decision. I think he won that fight. The most recent, though, was to Azmat Mirzakhanov, where he was knocked down for the first time in his career, and that is what worries me here. He's taking on Kennedy Nzechukwu. This guy's long. He's powerful. Solid takedown defense at 80%, and he is never out of a fight. He might quite literally have the most come-from-behind victories in the UFC. I don't know how to find that stat, but I would not be surprised if it was him. It's incredible. Some of them are at the end of the 3rd round. Boom. Others are lost the first, got the knockout in the second, but he is losing fights more often than he's winning them, but he's able to pull it off. He can be a little gun shy, which is how he even ends up giving up rounds, but then he lets his hands go. He's coming off that submission win over Devin Clark, where he was almost finished in the first round, came back, got it done in the second. I mentioned it just a few minutes ago. This card feels like it can be a disaster, honestly. Every single one of these fights, I feel like I could make an intelligent argument on the other side. I'm going to pick Kennedy Nzechukwu. He's just insanely dangerous. He's huge. He's never out of a fight. And we just watched Dustin Jacoby get dropped. And by Azmat Mirzakhanov, who's not like the biggest hitter. Biggest hitter? He's not hammer-fisted. But then I could also make the argument Dustin Jacoby was ranked number 2 in the world. He's going to be the more technical kickboxer. How could you not go with him? This is super tough. The pick is Kennedy Nzechukwu because of how insanely dangerous he is. And it's getting old trying to pick against the guy because it doesn't matter how bad he's losing. He's just going to pull it off later in the fight. So if Kennedy wants to get it, he's got to get his hands going early, because if he lets Dustin pick apart his legs, he's going to have problems. But Kennedy's the pick. I'll be rooting for Dustin Jacoby because I'm a big Dustin fan. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I think you basically nailed it when you said Kennedy's a more dangerous guy. I think that's what it comes down to in this fight. You know, Dustin, I agree. I was a big Dustin guy. I was one of the only people. I got trashed for picking him against Dawood Jung in that fight. And he came in and got the big knockout. And you really thought that he was going to be one of those next guys that kind of takes over this 205 division with his kickboxing style. And as you mentioned, good takedown defense. Will kind of shoot a takedown or two on his own as well. But then you come in that Khalil Roundtree fight. And I agree. I think he probably won that fight. But that was a fight that, in my mind, he should have dominated. I mean, I thought that he really should have dominated the striking exchanges in that Khalil Roundtree fight. And you kind of saw the confidence start to leave in that fight, in my mind, right? He was doing the volume. He had the volume, but Khalil was landing the powerful shots. And that's why he was able to get kind of that split decision win, because he was landing what appeared to be the more significant strikes in that matchup. And against a guy like Kennedy, you don't want to have him landing significant strikes. You don't want him landing the big shots. And you saw that carry over into that Azmat fight. So Khalil started touching him a little bit more, was able to sneak it out. Dustin came into that Azmat fight, got hit a couple times, and then it's almost like the confidence was completely gone. And Dustin, without that confidence, without him, doing the showboating stuff, you'll see like the watch the birdie, and then he's trying to hit from the outside and dancing around, the footwork. When he doesn't have that confidence, he's almost just a regular guy. I mean, he just seems like kind of a regular fighter, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to be one of those top guys, you have to have a little bit of extra. You got to be something extra. And during that streak of the no loss streak where he had that draw in there, whatever, it looked like he could be that guy. But against Azmat, he kind of folded underneath the pressure. He kind of folded underneath the power of Azmat. And Kennedy does have that power. Yes, he can be tentative at times. He can fall behind. But once he has you hurt, and I think that's the biggest difference in this fight, is Dustin, if he has you hurt, he will kind of jump on you, but he doesn't. It seems like he lacks that kind of second gear in my mind, where Kennedy does not lack that second gear. I mean, he will turn it on. He will look for that finish. And I think that's the biggest difference in this fight. I think these are two guys on two different career trajectories in my mind. I think Kennedy's on his way up. I think Dustin's on his way down. He is an 18-7 fighter. He won a lot of fights to get even to 18-7. So, unfortunately, Dustin is kind of my guy, but I'm actually pretty high on Kennedy in this matchup. I think they're both kind of the same type of striker, and Kennedy's a little bit rangier and a little bit more dangerous. So I'm going Kennedy. I feel good about it.
I'm surprised you're that high on him, because I do worry that he could just be gun shy and get his legs lit up for 15 minutes, and then that's the end of it.
I think he's gonna like this matchup. It's a good matchup.
He could, because he probably doesn't have to worry about takedowns, which is like.
And Dustin will take his time too. I mean, he'll just kind of outpoint, jab, circle, circle, circle. I think Kennedy's going to have time to find his rhythm in this fight. I think it's going to be a breakout fight for Kennedy.
It could be. I mean, he's definitely fun to watch. He literally is never out of a fight. Like, you could go through every single fight, every single one of his wins, and be like, yep, he was losing that. Yep, he was losing that. Yep, he was losing that. So he's never out of a fight. So I guess even if Dustin does have early success with leg kicks and stuff like that, it's not crazy that Kennedy will just whomp later in the fight. $8,400 in DraftKings. You trust him to get a finish? Because it's not going to be takedowns. So
I think it's going to be a breakout fight for Kennedy.
So that sounds like he'd be decent value in DraftKings as well. Open as the dog, going to close as the favorite. I'm curious to see how far this line goes. Weigh-ins are going to be interesting because he's a massive dude. He's 6'5". He's a big guy. And he's not like, oh, Sean Woodson's so tall for the weight class. Sean Woodson looks like he's going to break a leg if he steps off a curb weird. Kennedy Nzechukwu, I don't know how he makes 205. He is big through and through.
Dustin's a big dude too.
Yeah, he's 6'3". Yeah. Actually, that could be a bigger issue, too, in that he's just not used to fighting somebody bigger than him. Because the reach is incredible.
I mean, Azmat was lighting him up, and Azmat's like 5'8".
Maybe that was also a problem. A little punching down. WeOwnPicks.com. Click Become a Member. Unlock everything we have to offer.